Okay, welcome to, my name is Danny and I'm an addict.
Hi, Danny.
Welcome to the Abstinence or Recovery workshop this morning. I'm going to introduce the speakers and then we're going to open it up for discussion. When we open it up for discussion, please come and sit to the front so you can be heard. And the first speaker today, her name is Mrs. Kim. And I've known her for some time, and she has a wonderful message to carry regarding this topic. So I'll give you Kim.
Thanks, Danny.
All right.
I'm Kim, and I'm an addict. So I was grateful to have this opportunity. I'm just delighted to be at this convention, and thankful to the program committee for asking me to be of service. It always does my heart good when I'm of service. So Tony gave me this topic, abstinence or recovery. I immediately thought, well, yes, I've had both. Yes, I can do that. And then I just kind of put it on the back burner. So a couple of days ago, I sat down and said, well, I probably should put some time and thought into this. And as I did that, I started really thinking about just the whole idea of abstinence. So I said, well, in my early recovery, they taught me to look up the definitions. So that's what I did. So abstinence is the opposite of indulgence. It is the practice of denying oneself of something. The word is derived from the Latin term for to hold back. And that's what we do here. That's what I needed when I got here, because I practiced excess. And so the word "or" in the middle of the title, abstinence or recovery, kept bothering me, because it's like, well, I gotta have the abstinence to even get to the recovery. So then I looked up the word recovery. Recovery is the act or process of returning to a normal state after a period of difficulty. The regaining or possibility of regaining something lost or taken away. I have found recovery here many times in my recovery, because I've chosen to put down, I've never, since I've been here, and I've been here 33 years, I have never put down all my tools. But I have put down these tools, I have chosen to go time and time without working steps or working on myself. I personally put down sponsorship. I got hurt by someone and I let that lie. I just said, I don't want to have anything to do with sponsorship. For a number of years, I did not. And I would consider that one of my abstinence periods, because I did a disservice to myself. I did a disservice to my children because I was a new mother when I was going through that period. And, I know now that had I been working with a sponsor at that point in my recovery, that I would have actually been a better mother. That I wouldn't have done things that I did. I wouldn't have thrown my son across the room. Or maybe I wouldn't have if I had had somebody to help me through that period. So when I got into that period and I got to that depth again, that sickness seeping into me, I reached out and got a sponsor again. And I started really more diligently working. And so that's what I kind of think about when I think abstinence or recovery. But I was also thinking, being here, coming in here young like I did. I was 16 when I got here, and I went through treatment, adolescent treatment, and I was immersed in recovery for the first 5 months I was here because of being in that situation. But then I got out of treatment. I started going to meetings every day, and the meeting after the meeting, and learning how to have fun without using, and I found myself at that time, there were a lot of young people in recovery because the treatment centers would, pay it all out for them. So I found myself close to a year clean, and I was hanging out with other people that were my age, and we were choosing to be in the parking lot instead of in the meeting. Going to bars to dance instead of hanging out at the Denny's. So I had a clarity moment with that, and it was like, I feel like I'm doing all the things that I was doing prior to coming into recovery, except using. And I knew that if I kept doing that, I was going to use. And so I made the conscious decision at that time to not be just abstinent, but join back into the recovery. And that has proved me well. So I've had several periods throughout, my recovery where I've just, I don't know, call it lazy. I've used my character defects and instead of choosing to do the things that I was taught in the very first 30 days, and fortunately I just haven't picked up in those times, fortunately. And I think about when I was talking before about the period I went without a sponsor or sponsoring anyone, and then I asked someone to be my sponsor again, and as soon as I did that and I started working the steps again and sharing about that in meetings, like moth to flame, I started getting women asking me. And so that whole ball started rolling, and I think that the whole sponsorship has been one of the most important parts of my recovery, that it keeps me connected. It keeps me connected to myself, to others, to my higher power, to these rooms, and I really believe that's the lifeblood of my recovery today. And our literature says our disease can only be arrested through abstinence. That's from the basic text, and I believe that. I believe since I've been here, I've chosen to try abstinence with other things besides drugs. I came here a smoker, and I went through the whole process of, taking that off my list, and I keep trying sugar, but I'm not very successful with that. But I'm about to do it again. I'm about to try it again. It seems to cause me some problems, and I guess after a while that's what it takes. Our literature also says our disease involved much more than just using drugs, so our recovery must involve much more than simple abstinence. And that's what I believe. That's my experience. And I guess that's really all I have.
Okay then.
Thanks.
Thank you. Very good. Our next speaker, his name is Randall. I had the opportunity of meeting him just now, but I would like to present him for his experience, strength, and hope on this situation.
My name is Randall. I'm a grateful recovering addict.
Hey, Randall.
Hey, everybody, thank you so much. See, she did the stuff that I didn't do. I said I was gonna do all that stuff, write some stuff down, and all that kind of stuff. I ain't do none of it. I already knew what I wanted to talk about when it comes to abstinence and recovery, but I really don't. What you did was gave me a good start, though. I always thank God for not being in the middle of active addiction, using drugs. Thank Him every day. I get up every morning and say, thank you, God, for not using drugs, but also for this thing called life. Man, I'm so grateful today. I'm so grateful to be able to do anything for Narcotics Anonymous. Anything. And to be up here with Kim and to see all y'all marvelous people at this convention is wonderful. You broke down abstinence to a point where, you know, I abstained from drugs for about 6 years. I got clean in 1992. And I stayed clean for 6 years from not using drugs. I did everything else. They told me not to get in a relationship in my first year. I thought that was insane. I said, y'all crazy. I can't deal with a woman. I've always had a woman. So I did some things I wasn't supposed to do, just pleasing myself. And I did that for a long time, And one day I just didn't feel like doing that no more. I said, I don't think this is right, So I kind of stopped doing that, and I met this young lady. And when I met this young lady, we both had a couple of years clean. We got in a relationship, man, and she just had me messed up. I couldn't do nothing but think about her. But I had 2 years clean now, so, and I was working a little bit of a program. My sponsor always told me to read the third step, and anything I had to do, anything was going on with me, read the third step. I thought he was insane. I spent and see, my sponsor always went out of town. He was a working man. He went out of town a lot. And when he went out of town, we didn't have cell phones. So I couldn't talk to him when he was out of town. Unless he called me, and if he was busy, he wasn't going to call me. So I had to wait till he got back. And when he got back, I told him what was going to read the third step. So he told me that a lot. Every time I read the third step, I found something that was helpful. I'm talking about I read it a lot of times, probably over 100. But every time I read it was something that was good. I was like, I didn't see this before. So I noticed that the book that we have, that basic text, that was all we had back then. We didn't have all these other books, and I'm so glad we got the other books. But let me tell you what happened. I kept on doing what I wanted to do, and my sponsor wasn't there for me. And I never got me another sponsor, so I was abstinent and a little bit of recovery, not a lot. Because I was doing that 1, 2, 3 shuffle. 1, 2, 3 shuffle, that's all I ever got passed. So I done a thorough 4th step. I wrote a whole lot of stuff, but me and him never talked about it. We never got to the 5th step. So one day, I thought I was reading the 6th step. I said, Tyler, ready to have God. No, I ain't ready for some of these things to be gone. No. I said, I got to have some of this stuff, because these were defense mechanisms. These was all kind of things that I had all my life. And I said, nah. So I quit even thinking about going any further than the 6th step. Big mistake, y'all. Learn from me. Keep working the steps. Now, I eventually relapsed. That's what I'm getting to. Now, I relapsed because what I did was got a serious resentment, and I was abstinent. So I wasn't, all I thought about was this girl and stuff like that, and buying clothes and jewelry and stuff like that. That's all I thought about. So I've been clean for almost 6 years. So what I did was got a serious resentment about this guy that said that we stole money from this treatment center I was working at. And the people that was working there, I got a resentment against all of them. And then I said, well, all the ENA ain't nothing but a bunch of dressed up garbage cans. So I don't want to deal with nobody in the ENA. So, I came up with that term, dressed up garbage can, for some people that's been here before me that used to say stuff like that. So I believed that. And I went on and got by myself about a year or two. Then God knew I was using again. And I came back. When I came back in 1998, I've been back ever since. This time, they talk about recovery and relapse. This was that blessing I needed. This was the reality check that I really needed, where I knew that I had to give me a sponsor. But I walked around about 2 years clean without a sponsor. In a relationship with my wife and started drinking and stuff like that. And I was seriously disturbed in that relationship because we were married a couple of years. When we got married, she had a year more time than I did. But she started drinking. So I was in a bad relationship, and I finally found me that sponsor. So I got that sponsor. We worked the steps. When we worked the steps, it was that. Now, an active change in my behavior, my attitude, and all that stuff. Other stuff started happening when I started working the steps. And we worked every step. And I was real glad to be working steps. And not only did we work steps, I got with a group of men that we had tree meetings every month. So we went and we talked about the 3 S's: sex, security, and society. So every once a month, we talked about them 3 things, and we broke them down as men. And we helped each other. So for the next few years, that's all I got was recovery. I learned about me, and that's what I had lost. I had lost me. I didn't know who Randall was, but when I came back, I found out who I really was. And I was a child of God, and I was a good person, and I had some assets and some defects, but I wanted to concentrate more on the assets, my good parts. So I started focusing on them more. And everything that I did became a habit. So, if you do stuff, anybody playing basketball, if they play basketball, they practice all the time, they're going to get real much better. So I got real much better in recovery. So what I did was over the years, I've done a lot of service work. There's a lot of people like y'all, some of these people in the region, man, they helped me when I came down to the region to ask what to do, and they put me on this committee, on the committee, and then I was a member of the board. So I started doing stuff that was conducive to my recovery, and just working with these people, man, down here gave me a different experience because I'm from Atlanta. Atlanta in the West End area is a lot of blacks. Now I go to the Georgia region, a lot of whites. And the white people in the region were so nice and so cool. I heard all these bad reports and stuff about white people in the region. Man, I ain't never seen nothing but nicer people in my world. I look at you and I look at Jimmy and I look at the people I meet every day from the regional area, man. And I know that recovery comes through, like when you talk about working steps, that's where I am today, man. I work steps, I got sponsors, we do this all the time. It's nothing wrong with just staying clean for a little period of time, but you need to go on and put something on it. Abstinence is not only, that's the only way you stay clean is to be abstinent. But it takes work. And she just read it. It takes work. And what I've done recently is done everything except for what I should have done the day before this thing. I should have read a little bit more. I should have made a few more notes. But see, she helped me so much with what she read. I'm glad you went first. But I'm going to tell y'all this, man. The best thing that ever happened to me was Narcotics Anonymous. That's why anytime, and I'm really excited to talk about anything that has to do anything with Narcotics Anonymous. And when I talk about recovery, man, I recovered a relationship with me. I recovered a relationship with God. That's the most important relationship I recovered. Because I forgot about God. That's why I relapsed. Now, I forgot about God totally. He had done so much for me. Man, I was doing real good. I had a lot of money and stuff before I relapsed. I was doing so well. Spent all that money. Had a car, house, everything. Got all of it gone. I guess I smoked it up. But anyway, all that is, my life is way better than it was. I don't have as much money as I had back then, but I'm doing real well. I love living, and I love the fact that I got a chance to get in and share anything that I can to increase my chance of staying clean, And that's by me coming here talking about recovery. Abstinence I talked about a little bit, but recovery was really important to me. And I have a sponsor that I meant to call today, and I didn't. What I did was help Naomi to do a newcomer workshop when I was supposed to be calling them. But that's a part of the service commitment, So I didn't call him, but I had you to sit up and read the stuff that I needed to hear read. So that's what happens with me in recovery today, man. Everything that I need is always there. All I gotta do is look for it. If I sit back and don't ask questions or don't seek the help that I need, I'll never get it. And that's what's good for me today, man. I ask questions every day. Open-mindedness with the how the program, honestly, open-minded willingness is key. And then, when we read our literature at every meeting, they talk about the things in indispensable principles, stuff that's very needed, very much needed for us to get better, And they're indispensable principles, and it's honesty, open-minded, and willingness. So with that being said, man, I can keep talking. I don't know how long I'm supposed to talk. Do I supposed to talk any longer or what?
Yeah, you can talk longer.
A little longer? All right. Well, let me talk about some stuff that's going on with me right now. I have a 15-year-old daughter. She'll be 16 next month. She don't want to live with her daddy no more. Her mom abandoned her in Athens from years ago. I've been had her for the last 5-6 years. Me and her. And for some reason, she don't want to live with me no more. And I know why. It's the structure and all the other stuff that I have there for her. And she just don't like having to do what I tell her to do, because she was probably able to run over her mom for a period of time while she was down there with her, because her mom was in active addiction, which I didn't know, until I had to go get her. I had to go fight for my daughter to get her out from down in Athens. But what's happening with that is she'll call me all the time, tell me how much she loves me, but she just don't want to deal with me. And I don't know, I really don't know how to deal with that, man. I've been wanting to say, man, girl, you need to just, I don't know. And I need help with that, and I have people that's helping me with that, but a lot of people give me wrong information. I mean, really wrong information, telling me to do this and that to my daughter. I'm like, are you crazy, man? This girl needs love. And that's what this program has taught me about love. You know, I might love her too much. Because when she came, I gave her everything that she ever needed. You know, I got, you know, the weave and all that stuff. Man, she had that good weave. I was spending all this money, man. And the whole thing about it, I gave her too much, I think. And so she started running away a year ago. Just started running away. Man, the police been over my house so many times. They brought my daughter back 2 or 3 times. She had run away again. And this time she didn't run away. She said, Dad, I don't want to live there. I'm not coming home. I'm like, well, what you gonna do? She said, I'm gonna join job corps when I turn 16. She'll be 16 next month. So I've already taught her job corps. I'm like, that's what she want to do. We're gonna put her in job corps. Yeah. And I won't have to stress out of work because I've had a stroke, not because of her, but because of me having stress-related things in my life, you know, at that particular time. And I don't want no more of them, you know, because that was real horrible to have a stroke. I was pitiful. I couldn't move nothing on my left side. And that's what I'm talking about, God. You know, when I had that stroke, the people in the region loved me. They came and got me and took me places. And I was like, man, see, these people love me, man. Why would I leave Narcotics alone? You know, Narcotics has showed me so much love. So I got to give it back. But what I'm getting to it with my daughter, I still don't know what to do. I'm taking her down now. I'm taking her down now Tuesday on her birthday. At 12 o'clock, we're supposed to meet. Hopefully we'll set up something for her to be able to be taken care of. I've turned it over. See, that's what I've done. I've turned it over to God. I couldn't continue to worry about that. And people were telling me I was worried. I'm not worried. Yes, you are. You know, they tell me you worried, man. That's your daughter. You love that girl. I said, but I can't do nothing with her. She just keep running away. And her problem is she's so smart. You know, she's really, really smart. So, with that being said, man, that's where I am right now, man. I'm in a little dilemma. I'm going to do what I said I was going to do, but I don't want to do that. I want to do something else. You know, I want to get her to come home and stay home and do what she's supposed to do and be the daughter that I want to raise. And, you know, because I got 4 other kids, you know, that's grown. And this was my last one. I want to do this myself. But there's no way I'm going to be able to do this. So I'm going to have to go on and, you know, just throw my hands up, surrender, and all this stuff that we do. Now, I learned stuff like that in recovery. Surrender, acceptance, and stuff like that. Humility, the ideal state for the recovering addict, a recovering person. So today, man, I know that I can do all things through NA, through God, and through y'all. So, I mean, I could say some more, but I can talk about something else now, other than recovery and relapse.
We can open it up for discussion if you like.
Okay.
Thank you very much.